Okay, we're going to do an update on Rafalko in the Wexford training barn. And this is what we've been doing for quite a while to strengthen up the hindquarters, get a little bit more engagement on the small circle, strengthen up the hindquarters. And whether I've been working on the ground or under saddle, this has helped him really regain a lot of hindquarter and back stability. Still a little bit of a work in progress, but what we added to Rafalko's training program is a little bit of trot work. The last time I tried trot work was last December. It is April the following year. Well, the following few months, let's say. So in December 2023, I tried trot for about 3 or 4 sessions in a row, and he did great until he didn't. And so we haven't been able to do a lot of trot work because of the ring bone and the navicular. If he's not using his hindquarters and back correctly, then after a couple of sessions of trot, he will start becoming head bobbing lame. And I have to back off the trot, go back to the walk, and keep building up more coordination, more muscular strength for him to control his own body weight a little bit better. So this past week, we've played with trot. I think we made it past the 3 session mark, and I want to say we've done it about 6 times. Seems to help him if I do the trot work on the long reins instead of the lunge line, just to help him stay more stable. And so that's what we're going to look at today, is Rafalko sort of getting back into trot work, and hopefully without any lameness, because as soon as he has trotted too many sessions in the past, he starts becoming head bobbing lame, and I have to give the trot work a break, go back to working on the coordination at the walk, and then try trot again. So far, so good. We've been able to trot, like I said, 5 or 6 sessions without him showing that head bobbing lameness. So that's what I'm going to try to show today. So I'm just warming him up in the walk on the small circle to kind of get those hind legs working right away. And he's still pretty slow on this part of the exercise, but much, much better. I can also now work him in a snaffle bit without necessarily triggering that response of curling the neck backwards and chomping on the bit and all of that he used to do all the time. So he's getting quieter in the mouth, which tells me he feels more stable in his back and hindquarter, and he's not over curling his neck. So, and especially because I'm going to ride after we do the groundwork, I prefer working them in the snaffle. It's a little bit more precise when it comes to the balance. So now we're going to try 5, maybe 10 minutes of trot. I'm going to let him out on a bigger circle where it's easier. And just bump him up to trot. And I think for this video, we'll just keep it to 5 minutes. And then we'll do 5 minutes the other direction and just sort of check in where he's at with his trot. So whenever I work on trot, whether it's long reins, lunge line, liberty, or whatever, the transitions are sort of the gold nuggets when it comes to balance. And when we insist on maintain gait, maintain direction, we're kind of walking over dollars to pick up pennies. Because as soon as he feels unstable or uncomfortable at the trot, he should break to the walk in order to regain his stability, a better coordination, and more comfort. So whenever I work on trot or canter, it's always with a million transitions. Because when he chooses the downward transition, he's organizing his body to engage a little bit more. Oh, there goes the kitty. and stabilize his balance from behind. In the upward transition, he has to push a little more, use a little bit more pushing power compared to maintaining any gait. So the transitions up or down are super beneficial for building balance and strength. And I find if I always allow the downward transition, as the trot or the canter become more balanced, then the horses choose to maintain it longer because it's comfortable, because they can. So as he's struggling with his balance and trying to figure out how to coordinate his trot, right now I'm just happy he's not going lame, or head bobbing lame, I should say. The navicular and the ring bone will always be there, but as concussive lameness issues, the rehab or the solution is to build up more engagement, more lift of the back, more power and control through the hindquarters as well as the back. And especially because he has lameness issues, if I push him to maintain the trot for too long, or to maintain the trot and never break gait, he's most likely going to have to resort into his old pattern of coordination and go lame again. So even though the trot's not great, the first layer with this horse is, can we trot for 5 minutes each way in consecutive sessions without you going head bobbing lame? Right? He still over curls the neck a little, but the fact that he can sort of be in long and low tells me at least he has enough hindquarter engagement to authentically push himself into the trot rather than pulling himself into the trot with a dropped back and a short neck. But we can see we don't have a lot of pushing power yet, so we're just going to build that up slowly. Through transitions and through practice. Trot. So for just these 5 minutes, when he does break to walk, I'm giving him a few strides to rebalance and then asking him to try again. One more minute. And then usually what I do is 5 minutes of warming up on the small circle, 10 minutes of trot, and then 10 minutes of walk on the big circle, and sort of let him play with his balance. And if I'm going to ride, I'll cut that short a little bit, but I will fit in the 5 minutes of trot before I ride. Some days, if he's super energetic, we can kind of play with 10 minutes of trot. Today's not one of those days. He's not super energetic, so I'm just gonna, whoops, there's our 5 minutes. So I'll let him walk a little bit. We're gonna change direction. Whoop, at the same time he bit a fly. And this is his harder direction, so we may get a little bit more curling of the neck, we may get a little bit more mouthiness on the bit. And I'm making the circle kind of as big as I can with the long reins, but I am standing still, so it's a smaller circle. It's bigger than what we've been doing on the long reins, but smaller than just sort of giving him the whole area like a lunge line, a little bit smaller than a lunge line circle. Trot. Good. So a little less power this direction, a little bit more struggle, but manageable. You can see kind of the stiffness around that left front leg, where if he gets too sore on that, he's going to start bobbing his head up and down at the trot, even on the long reins. So if I start to see a head bob, I know to back off. It's becoming a painful lameness. If he's not bobbing his head, we kind of continue changing the mechanical issue in order to fully overcome that lameness pattern. Trot. Yeah, and he stumbles a lot. He's not very powerful. It's not a great trot. But like I said, if we can start getting through regular little periods at 5 minutes at least of trot work or walk trot transitions, and he doesn't go lame, then we're going to keep building on that. Because he has to have just enough hindquarter engagement, not as much as we will get, but just enough straightness, just enough hindquarter engagement that he doesn't drop his back and fall over concussing those front legs, which would be what he does is he doesn't lift his neck up, he over curls it. He puts his head backwards into his chest when he drops his back and disengages his hindquarters. Yeah, this is a lot more labored. And I also didn't give him, I usually give him at least 5 minutes in between trotting one way and trotting the other, which I didn't do for the video. So he's struggling a little bit more. But again, so far so good. Even though it's not a great trot, it's not a lame trot. And we've tried a little bit of trot under saddle, but that has been harder for him, which is unusual because usually everything is easier for this horse under saddle than it is on the ground. But when it comes to trotting him under saddle, that has proved far more difficult than trotting him on the long reins, which is difficult enough. Trot. Push. Yeah. So that's 5 minutes each way. And I think I have time to show a little bit of the initial riding. Well, you know what? I will make that a separate video. So this is where Rafalko's at today, with about a week of trotting, having not trotted or even tried trotting in several months, and really has not been able to work at the trot for over a year. Most of our work has been all at the walk, having to change that coordination slowly and build up as much strength as we can while avoiding any pain issues related to the ring bone or the navicular. So it's taken quite a while to change that coordination at the walk, but he's been doing really well. And the fact that he can now trot, I don't know, now 6-7 times in a row without head bobbing lame, even though the trot doesn't look great, I'm pretty happy with the progress, and it means we can keep working on it, which is fantastic. So I'll stop this video here, but I'll go ahead and record the ride today as well.